Welcome back, everybody. Stache Sports is back today. We have a lot to talk about because we have missed a lot since we haven't been here for the last couple of days. I've been out with family the last couple of days, but it's been nice with family. But we got to get a lot to get caught up on. But we've been out on a lot of sports. But it was nice to have my aunt in town and have some family time during the break. But we're back now. Today, the Pirates lost in extra innings to the Washington Nationals and split the series 2 games apiece in the 4-game series. It was okay. Today's loss kind of stung because the Pirates kind of blew it and the bullpen didn't do good. One of the pitchers came in and walked a guy, had the bases loaded, and whacked another guy. That's not good to do in baseball, to hit a pitch. I know sometimes it misses out of control, but it's not. He didn't do it on purpose. But it's not good to have one hit by pitch to get a run in, which helped the Nationals win, even though the Pirates came back and tied it and went to extras, which was good. We also need to not swing out and strike out looking when they have people on base. They need to start getting more base hits and getting more traffic into the bases. But it's okay. They're still in first place at 11-8, and they won against the Cubs. They won a series against the Chicago Cubs earlier this week that we didn't get onto. But that's good that they've won the first 2 series against division rivals. Because you got to win. If you win a division, you're in the playoffs anyway. And the Pirates looking really good this year. I didn't expect the Pirates to be this good going into the year right now at 11-8. And finally, Marcell Ozuna starting to hit. He was looking like complete ass, excuse my language, and not hitting at all. We're like 0 for 76 and whatever, and not looking good at all, and not hitting at all, and looking like we wasted $1 million or $12 million to put him on our DH spot. Well, we should have got McCutchen, but doing a lot better. And the Rangers. But I don't know how good he's doing now, but I haven't been keeping up with him late. But finally, the last couple games at least against the Washington Nationals, even though we lost today, he had a 3-run home run today. And yesterday he had a couple of hits for the Pirates. And finally had the first Pirate home run. Let's hope Pitch can finally wake up the bat Marcell Ozuna has, because Marcell Ozuna wasn't as bad last year in the bat, even though Marcell Ozuna had an off year. So let's hope that this can wake his bat up and can finally start hitting. So that's something you need no matter how good a baseball team is. You need a good designated hitter. And he wasn't doing that. So I'm glad he's starting to hit now. And they took him out a couple of games, maybe. Took him out a couple of games, got him the mojo to start hitting. And maybe that first hit and the home run today is going to get him the mojo to hit again and get him back on a hot streak of hitting. But we'll see. We have the Tampa Bay Rays coming in tomorrow, which Brandon Lau came back from the Pirates from that trade. That was a great trade to get Brandon Lau from the Tampa Bay Rays. Brandon Lau from the Tampa Bay Rays was a great trade. He had 5 RBIs in 2 games back-to-back. That's the first time he had 5 games of back-to-back RBIs. He had back-to-back games of 5 RBIs or more. That's the first time ever that a Pirate's done it since a long time. Brandon Lau's looking really good. He is a really good hitting machine. Today he even helped tie the game. He helped tie the game to go to overtime. Extra innings. So he's looking really good. Brandon Lau has a real hot bat right now. So glad the Pirates traded from the Tampa Bay Rays. I bet the Rays fans are upset they got rid of him because he's looking really hot. He's looking like a candidate for the Pirates if they don't have him for a long time. He'll lock him up too. Because Brandon Lau is a really good second baseman. It's really good. But it's good to have 5 RBIs. And baseball has been around since the 1900s. And that did not happen for a long time. That's good to see it happen for the Pirates. And it's good to see a Pirate player finally do something. It's good to see that a Pirate player can do stuff when bases are loaded or have people on bases to get people in. That's good. Keep it up, Brandon Lau. You're doing really good right now. You're batting like a whatever it is right now. I'll look in a minute, but you're batting like close to 200, 300. So keep it up. That's really good that Brandon Lau is looking really good for the Pirates. I'm glad that he's doing good. And even though people have been giving O'Neal Cruz some hard times, O'Neal Cruz has been hitting a lot better too and hitting a lot more home runs. He might still have some blunders in the outfield that we might need him to get fixed. But he's starting to look better at that in the outfield too. And he's starting to finally get hits. That's good. He did get hits. And he's getting a lot of home runs for the Pirates. And he's making a lot of noise for the Pirates. And he's one of the top hitters in the NL right now. So that's good. I know a lot of people were giving O'Neal Cruz a hard time when he came in. But he's looking really good for the Pirates. The Pirates just came off a 4-game series, and they split against Washington Nationals, and they're 2-2. But that's good. That's good. They're finally winning. And they at least won against the Chicago Cubs that series, so that's good that they're winning that series against their division rivals. It's better to beat your division rival sometimes than lose to your division rival, so I'm glad the Pirates are doing that. And I'm glad to see the Pirates are finally having more hitters hit better. Connor Griffin today had his first triple as a Pirate. That was good. It was not much a home run, but it just grazed the top of the wall. It didn't go over and fell back down, but he was able to run it out for a triple. Connor Griffin's bat needs to start getting better. But his hitting is looking a lot. His fielding is what's different to the Pirates. And also the Pirates signed him for $140 million, and it's official now. So that's good that they finally signed him for $140 million, and it's official. But he's going to be here for the next 9 years for $140 million, and I think he can get up to $150 with incentives. But that's good that the Pirates are finally doing that and finally signing players. Let's hope we can get a salary cap floor, and maybe they can sign people like Paul Schemes, and we can have him around here for a long time too. But I need to get myself a new jersey for Connor Griffin because he's going to be here for 9 more years, at least 8 more if they don't trade him before that, which I don't think they will. I'm glad they're finally doing that. It's finally looking like Bob Nutton's getting off his bottom and spending money. And he's got some good players this year too. He got Brandon Lau for a trade, and Ronald Harden's not bad either, and he's looking good. Maybe Marcell Ozuna now with his hit streaks, he can start doing a lot better with his hitting and not be as bad. But that's good that the Pirates are doing good, and Marcell Ozuna is doing a lot better hitting now. Like I said at the beginning of the season, Marcell Ozuna looked like he was going to be a waste of the roster spot, maybe one of the worst free agent signings, but now he's looking a lot better. I know it's been a couple games, so we might need to pump the brakes on that, but the Pirates are looking a lot better. We have a draft coming here next week, so that's why they have a 7-game home trip right now before they go on the road next week during the draft, so they don't conflict with the NFL draft. And also, we'll talk about it in a minute, but the Penguins might have a playoff series. We'll talk about that in a minute, but it's good to see the Pirates are doing something, and the Pirates are doing finally good. But the bullpen today needed to help a lot better. They need to get a lot better bullpen, or they need to start batting a lot better, pitching a lot better. I mean, yesterday the bullpen wasn't bad and helped them win the game. I mean, I know the Nationals are a good team, but some of the errors, we had 4 errors today. That shouldn't be help. That shouldn't help. That shouldn't be good. We shouldn't have 4 errors in one game. We shouldn't have 4 errors in one game. That's something that the Pirates need to fix too. Only 4 errors, but at least they have 2 games about 500. So that's good to say at this part of the season, and it's still a young season. So let's hope they can continue with that. What the hell? Let's hope they can continue that. On Monday night, they beat the Nationals. They scored 15-5. They beat the Nationals 15-5 and they only lost by 1 run the last 2 nights. Wednesday night or Tuesday night they lost by 1 run, and last night they won 2-0, and today they lost by 1 run. So that's not bad. They're only losing by a run. But some of these games they could have had back. Like today, they should have had a game today, and they should have had a better bullpen to help them win the game today. But oh well, you can't win them all. But luckily it's early in the season. But at least they split, so that's not bad. They didn't get swept or lose the series. So that's good for the Pirates. And now they got the Nationals. They got the Tampa Bay Rays coming up tomorrow night. But that's good to see but that's good. But it's going to be a tough series because the Tampa Bay Rays are one of the good teams in their division. They said right now, so it's going to be a tough series. But we'll see. Maybe Brandon Lau will have a good series against his old team. This will be the first time that Brandon Lau is facing his old team, the Tampa Bay Rays, this season. It'll be in Pittsburgh. It won't be in Tampa the first time, but it'll be in Pittsburgh. So we'll see what Brandon Lau can do against his old team. But he needs to play for it. And maybe even Jake Magnum might play too against his old team. Magnum looked pretty good today. He had a couple good hit streaks. He should have got there. He should have saved some of his hits for the end, and maybe the Pirates should have won. But he at least had a couple of decent hits in the game today. He's looking decent. Like a decent rotation outfielder for the Pirates. But we'll see. But the Pirates are doing good right now, so that's good. They're still in first place, and they're close to the Reds, who are 11-8 also. But the Cubs and the Brewers aren't doing so hot this year. I think they're going to turn it around. I don't know about the Cardinals much, but I think the Brewers and Cubs are turning around. But the Pirates are right in the thick of their things right now at the early part of the season. That's good to have that good part in April. Let's hope they continue having a good rest of April and a good month. But that's good for the Pirates. Here's the average score to today's games. The Tampa Bay Rays are tied 2-2 at the end of the 7th. It looks like the Yankees will lead 11-4 today. I think the Guardians or the Indians will beat the Orioles tonight. Or the Orioles will beat the Indians tonight. I think the Rockies will beat the Astros. The Brewers beat the Blue Jays 3-1. The Brewers are now 10-8 and 7-5 at home. And the Blue Jays are 7-11 and 1-5 away. The Detroit Tigers are leading 8-6 to the Kansas City Royals in the rain delay in the top of the 7th. The Texas Rangers are tied 2-2 against the Athletics. The Athletics, more like the Sacramento Athletics, because Oakland doesn't want them anymore. Nobody wants them until they move to Vegas. The Seattle Mariners are going to beat the Padres tonight. The Cincinnati Reds lost 3-0 today. That's good. So the Pirates will still be in first place if the Reds lost today, so that's good for both Pirate fans. But the more important news is the Penguins last week made the playoffs. That's nice to see the Pittsburgh Penguins make the playoffs. It's nice to see it. They haven't made the playoffs since 2022 when they made it official on Thursday night after winning the game on Thursday. But that's nice to see the Penguins when they beat the New Jersey Devils. But that's nice to see the Penguins finally win. I know the last few games it hasn't looked pretty, but why would try really hard? You already knew you were going to be locked in to the second position anyway, no matter what happened to Philadelphia, the rest of them. I mean, I know you should win and look good, but they did. Even though they lost, they only lost by a couple. The last game against the St. Louis Blues, that kind of stunk because they had a 3-goal lead and they kind of blew it and lost that game. But they need to have better goaltending in the playoffs. When the playoffs start on Saturday night at 8 p.m. in Pittsburgh, they need to have good goaltending throughout the series and throughout the remainder of the playoff lives, however far they make it. I think they're going to beat the Flyers in 5 or 6 games, and it's going to be a good one in Pittsburgh. I can't believe it that at the beginning of the season, I can't believe it that the Pittsburgh Penguins are playing a much-hated rival and state rivalry, Philadelphia. I mean, as Pittsburgh natives, you're told not to like any teams to Philadelphia, but Philadelphia is the wrong side of the state, which it is. I mean, I know they have a Liberty Bell and they signed the Freedom Direct and all that stuff with the government and stuff, but you're told not to like Philadelphia teams. So I don't like the Flyers either. I think their mascot, Gritty, is one of the stupidest looking mascots ever. I think one of the deranged Philadelphia fans put it out there and everybody thought it was funny. I mean, orange and black, they're kind of ugly colors anyway. But we'll see. Philadelphia is a young and crappy team. We're going to try to bully their way in because that's all they know what to do is play dirty, because Philadelphia fans play dirty too. But we'll see. I think Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin will show them their best. It's going to be interesting to see how good the Penguins can do. We're going to need good goaltending, like I said. The goaltending in the last couple games has been hit or miss, but I don't know how hard they're trying. I mean, I know they're trying really hard to play, but you don't want to try hard and get injury. But we'll see. We don't have any more games now until Saturday, 8 p.m. when they open up against the Philadelphia Flyers and Pittsburgh, because they had the number 2 seed, the number 2 team in the Metro, and the Flyers are the number 3 team. They both have 89 points, but the Penguins, I said the Pirates, tongue twister, but the Penguins and Flyers both have 89 points, which the Penguins had the tiebreaker over them, making them the second team to make them have home ice in this first game series. So the Penguins will be playing home ice, which means they'll have games 1 and 2 here and 3 and 4 in Philadelphia. But we start Saturday at 8 p.m., so that's going to be a good game. I'll get more to my picks later, but I think the Penguins are looking really good this year. Who would have thought at the beginning of the year that Kyle Dubas and new head coach Dan Muse, if I no one expected to be good, if I was just an assistant coach somewhere else, but new head coach Dan Muse and Kyle Dubas will turn his team around. Kyle Dubas has signed only players to not that much money this year, to league minimums of $7 million, and some of these players like Anthony Mantha has had a career year. He's also waked up Erik Karlsson. Erik Karlsson is looking like a clear team Penguins MVP. If it wasn't for Erik Karlsson, we might not be in the playoffs, and we might be having a different conversation in this video. But Erik Karlsson has looked really good. Erik Karlsson, number 65, has looked really good for the Penguins this year. I don't know what it is. If it's new head coach Dan Muse, if he's finally woken up. a couple years ago, or last year, excuse me, a couple years ago when they traded him, he didn't look good right away. And last year, I was kind of hoping they would trade him in the offseason. But now I'm glad they didn't because he's really looking like the great defensive man, a great player that we traded for him from the San Jose Sharks a few years back. Maybe it's Dan Muse. Maybe Dan Muse has a new coaching system, but Dan Muse deserves to be coach of the year. I mean, I know it might be the Buffalo Sabres coach, but the Buffalo Sabres have made the playoffs for the first time since like 2011, which is a real long time. I mean, they didn't even have a Grand Theft Auto game out the last time. They didn't even have Grand Theft Auto 5 out the last time the Buffalo Sabres made the playoffs. And they don't even have Grand Theft Auto 6 out now when the Buffalo Sabres made it again. That's interesting. But, I mean, it might be the Buffalo Sabres, but I think Kyle Dubas should definitely win GM of the year. But I don't know the Buffalo Sabres guy can win GM of the year because he got fired halfway through the middle season in December. It was odd. In December, it looked like the Buffalo Sabres were going to be one of the worst teams and be a dumpster fire again and not look good at all. But when they got Lindy Ruff in there and they switched things around, they really turned stuff around. And the Buffalo Sabres are one of the best teams. But they're playing the Boston Bruins. But we'll get into that series later on when we talk more about the hockey playoffs. I can't believe hockey playoffs are starting soon. It seems like the season started yesterday. But that's good to see. But let's go back to the Penguins. That's good to see the Penguins are back in the Stanley Cup. We haven't been there since 2022. We've been on a down streak. And it's interesting. Mike Sullivan said he didn't want to be here because he thought it'd be a rebuild. A lot of people besides Bob Pompiani thought it'd be a rebuild too. And that the Penguins would suck this year. I saw a video yesterday of all these NHL experts that think they're so smart, even though they got it wrong, saying, oh, look, the Penguins are going to be in a rebuild year, but we're in the playoffs. Now they got egg on their face because they made the wrong call. Like people say all the time about the Steelers not being 500, but somehow Mike Tom will get them at 500. All these experts, I know it's just a guess, but the Penguins proved all these experts wrong, which is good to see from these young, scrappy teams. And it's also nice to see that the Penguins are doing good because he knows how much longer we'll have of the big three of Sidney Crosby, Malkin, Letang, and Brian Rust. And Eric Carlson, too. Even though he's new, Eric Carlson is young, so we'll see how good he does. But let's hope the Penguins can keep on doing good. I think they will be doing good in this series. Like I said, I think the Penguins win 5 or 6 against Philadelphia. It's going to be interesting. I would not have guessed at the beginning of the season that we'll be sitting here talking today about playing the Philadelphia Flyers in the playoffs. I mean, I figured we might be in the playoffs because we were that good. I thought we'd be a little better than people thought. And I thought give his new coach some time and see what he can do. But, wow, the new coach has really turned him around. I don't know if it's just a new coaching system. I mean, Mike Sullivan did win the gold medal for the United States, but I know the team was jacked. But maybe it's just a new coaching system. Maybe the new coach and the new message is helping the Penguins do a lot better. And maybe he just has a lot better philosophy. No offense to Mike Sullivan. Maybe his message was just growing stale. That's really worry sometimes as a sports fan. Like what's it going to look like this year? Mike McCarthy for the Steelers. But like the Penguins, people probably thought at the beginning of the year like they're going to be bad because they have a new coach. And they don't really know much about Dan Muse because Dan Muse was an assistant coach places. But Dan Muse has really turned the program around and made himself a top candidate for Coach of the Year this year. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, I think the Sabres coach might get it. But Dan Muse and the Penguins are looking really good. I can't believe they're in the playoffs. It's nice to see them finally in the playoffs. I know it starts Saturday night during WrestleMania, so I might have to watch 2 things at one time. But we'll get to that later on in the video, later on this week, because we're back now. But we'll see. But yeah, I'm just glad the Penguins are finally back. They haven't been there since 2022, which is a couple years ago. But it seems like every year before that, before 2022, even if they didn't make it far, they'd always be in the playoffs. So it's kind of bitter disappointment the last few years when they weren't in the playoffs. So maybe that's why. Maybe the message of Mike Sullivan is stale. But the interesting thing is Mike Sullivan didn't want to go rebuild, and he's in a rebuild in New York because the New York Rangers aren't in the playoffs this year, but the Penguins are. So that's kind of funny. But a lot of people thought maybe the Rangers might be in the playoffs, and that was a good hire for the Rangers to get Mike Sullivan. But he's going to take them to the playoffs and make the Rangers good. But it's kind of funny how Dan Muse, a new coach, and not a retread coach. What a retread coach means is a coach that's coached before, like Mike Sullivan. has taken his team to the playoffs for his first season. In his first season as coach, taking his team to the playoffs, which is really good for the Penguins. I mean, that's really good. I'm glad they're finally in it, but who would have figured that'd be the much-hated rival of the Flyers? I mean, I can't believe the Flyers are in the playoffs either. They always seem like they're one of the worst teams in hockey, but I can't believe the Flyers are in the playoffs. I mean, we shouldn't take them lightly for in the playoffs, but we need to have a good goaltending, a good defense in front of the goaltending. We need to make sure our players are playing right. I mean, I know a couple of those games late, near the end of the season, Sidney Crosby wasn't playing at all, and he was out, which is okay. Like I said, he's been hurt sometimes this year and messed up a little bit, so you don't want to hurt. You don't want to rush and play him when you don't want to play him some games when you don't have to. I mean, I know it sucks to the fans that go to the games and want to see Sidney Crosby play, but we're in the playoffs and we're going to move up or move down anyway. So what's the point sometimes to play him? I know that's a big debate in the NBA and NHL and some other sports to rest players if you're in the playoff spot. But sometimes if you're in a playoff spot, I mean, I know poor little Timmy might be going to his first Penguins game and really want to see Sidney Crosby play, or might be going to his first Celtics game or Lakers game and want to see LeBron or Jason Tatum play, or vice versa, whatever sport. And I know I get that. Sometimes it kind of stinks that if you go pay all that money, you want to see players play. But sometimes I do like it because I know, knock on wood, hopefully nothing happens. But you never know if somebody can get hurt. When you have a playoff run and you have a good team, you don't want to risk it sometimes. I mean, I know sometimes in the early of the season, like in the NBA, they probably shouldn't be doing low management that early. And maybe doing it like when they might be locked into the playoffs. But I mean, I get it. Sometimes that stinks if you're going to the game and it's way early in the season and some players resting because they aren't playing. But I get it. I mean, I understand that part of it, but I don't know. But I don't know. I'm just glad the Penguins are in it. I mean, I know, like I said, the last few games they haven't looked good, but I think they've just been resting. I think since they already know they're going to be in the playoffs, they didn't want to risk it too hard, which is okay. I think that's fine. Sometimes they rest like that. I just don't know how good it is to... I think that is fine to rest like that sometimes for the Penguins. Because like I said, you don't want to risk anyone getting really hurt or whatever. But we'll see. The Penguins have off the next 2 days, like I said. They finished off against the St. Louis Blues. And they also finished off against the Washington Capitals. They lost back-to-back games against the Capitals, but that's not the interesting part. The interesting part is Alex Ovechkin might retire. And Alex Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby for my whole lifetime have been quite the rivalry. There's been playoff series where the Penguins that beat the Capitals and knocked Alex Ovechkin out of the playoffs. And it's been other ones that Alex Ovechkin has knocked the Penguins out of the playoffs and won the Stanley Cup. If you are retiring Alex Ovechkin, even though you're Capitals and you're one of our other hated rivals, you will be missed. But it was a real classic rivalry between you and Sidney Crosby. But if you are back, we'll be again next year when you're in Pittsburgh. If you come back and play for the Capitals, she'll still beat you. But if you're retiring at the age of 40, which I understand, you're 40 years old, so that's pretty old to play for a hockey player. But if you are retiring Alex Ovechkin, that's okay. Thank you for all the time you had this year. Thank you for all the time you had. Or thank you for all the good classic memories you gave us between the Penguins and Capitals. I mean, I know you're one of our hated rivals, but you're one of the great hockey players too. In my life, one of the great hockey players to play the sport. I know you'll be a future ballot Hall of Famer whenever you retire, if it's this year or next year. But I know you're 40, but if you do, enjoy your retirement. Thank you for all the good memories of you against the Penguins. Even though the last 2 games he won against us. But thank you for all the memories of a good series. I mean, even though you're a rival, I really didn't ever root for you, but you were one heck of a player. So if you are hanging up the cleats this year, the skates this year, have a good retirement, Alex Ovechkin. The NHL playoffs are mostly set. The first round matchup between the St. Louis Blues is at 7:30 p.m. The St. Louis Blues are playing the Utah Mammoth. Wow, the Utah Mammoth are in the playoffs. Who would have thought the Utah Mammoth would be in the playoffs? Because they're just the Arizona Coyotes relocated to Utah because nobody went to watch the Arizona Coyotes in the desert play in Arizona, let's be honest. That's the real reason why they moved. I don't think it was because they were freezing to build them a new stadium or something. Maybe that's another reason too. But they refused to build them a stadium or they didn't lease it. But they didn't lease them out and they moved to Utah and became the Utah Hockey Club for a few years and became a stupid name, the Utah Mammoth. But they're playing the St. Louis Blues in the... Oh, wait. Never mind. The St. Louis Blues aren't playing. One minute. Here we go. So the NHL playoffs are set. The Buffalo Sabres are going to be playing the Buffalo Sabres that made the playoffs. The Tampa Bay Rays that made the playoffs. The Canadiens that made the playoffs. The Boston Bruins and the Ottawa Senators that made the playoffs. The Carolina Hurricanes scare me as a team because the Penguins might have to play them next if they don't lose their series. And the Carolina Hurricanes and Pittsburgh can never win to Carolina, so that one scares me. The Boston Bruins and Buffalo Sabres series, that's going to be a decent series. Who would have thought that the Buffalo Sabres would be in the playoffs, like I said? But they're one of the best teams. They're 82 since the game played. They're 50 and 37. They're 50 and 23 and 109 points. And the Tampa Bay Lightning have 106. So the Buffalo Sabres are the number one seed and the best team in the East. And they'll be playing the Boston Bruins, I believe. Who would have thought at the beginning of the year and even in December about the Buffalo Sabres to be the number one team in the East? If you had that on your bingo card or you bet that, you're probably a rich man today. The Tampa Bay Rays also, the Tampa Bay Lightning in play. And I think and the Montreal Canadiens made it. The Flyers and the Penguins and the Carolina Hurricanes have made it. The Avalanche, the Stars, the Minnesota Wild, the Utah Mammoth, the Vegas Golden Knights, they won the division, Edmonton Oilers, Anaheim Ducks, and Los Angeles Kings all made the playoffs. Maybe this might be the year that Connor McDavid finally wins the Stanley Cup. They always call him Connor McJesus, but he never wins the Stanley Cup. That's something that Connor McDavid has been missing the last few years. It's Lord Stanley. Sidney Crosby has won Lord Stanley, and so has Malkin in a few years. In the last 2 years, we've had back-to-back Stanley Cup champions in the Florida Panthers. And if you didn't hear all the teams go back, but the Florida Panthers were not in it. This will be the first year that we'll have a new champion. We won't have a back-to-back champion or a possible repeat because the Florida Panthers got eliminated from the playoffs when the Pittsburgh Penguins played them a couple weeks ago, and they won't be in the playoffs. That's interesting, but the Penguins we'll have a new champion. Who will it be this year? Hopefully it's the Penguins, but we'll see. It's going to be an interesting playoffs run because we'll have a different champion. But the playoffs are set. They start Saturday. On Saturday at 5:30 p.m. on ESPN, the Minnesota Wild play the Dallas Stars. The Philadelphia Penguins play at 8 o'clock against the Flyers. The Penguins play against the Flyers at 8 o'clock. And the Ottawa Senators play the Hurricanes. The Boston Bruins, time to be announced, but they're playing Buffalo. So the Buffalo Sabres and Boston Bruins are going to be in the first round. I think the Buffalo Sabres will win that series. The Utah Mammoth, they are playing in the playoffs, but they're playing the Golden Knights, not the St. Louis Blues. I think that's what they're playing tonight. But that's going to be the biggest probably. Tampa Bay plays the Montreal Canadiens. And the Avalanche still don't know who they play. So I guess they got to finish the rest of the games out tonight. But we'll see. It's going to be an interesting playoff run this year in the hockey world. But we'll see. It's going to be interesting. Maybe the Edmonton Oilers might win it this year, or the Penguins. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. But I think the Penguins, like I said, winning. I think the Penguins win in 5 or 6 in Philadelphia. But that's all about the Penguins. But I'm glad the Penguins finally made the playoffs. Like I said, all these experts and all these people that are smart about hockey, even though they're not, thought that the Penguins would be in last place and be one of the teams sucking for Gavin McKinnon, even though NHL is different than the NFL draft, which we'll get into later next week, because next week's the NFL draft, and I'll be going Friday night to experience the draft firsthand. But we'll talk about that later on next week, to have more stuff to talk about next week. So you guys tune in next week for my spectacular draft special, if you want to watch that. But anyway, the NHL draft is a lottery, so you don't know if you're going to get the first pick or whatever pick, because they pick by balls, and if you just get the luck of the bounce, and that's how you get in the lottery. But I'm glad that the Penguins are not worried about that, and they're in the playoffs. Can't believe that Dan Muse in his first year has turned his program around and really made them a playoff team. The last few years they didn't look good and didn't look like a playoff team. But with a new coach and a new message, I think it is, the Penguins are looking really better. On Saturday, we got Masters is also this week. One of the biggest golf tournaments of the year in Augusta, Georgia. And Rory McIlroy went to Masters back-to-back. He becomes the fourth golfer in all time to win the Masters back-to-back. He won the Masters last year and this year. Rory McIlroy is really turning his career around and looking really good. He's one of my favorite golfers. I like Rory McIlroy. I'm glad he won. I'm glad he gave it to the Irishman. But he went back-to-back in Augusta. That's nice to see. But he will still get to keep on the green jacket this year and still be able to make the dinner next year, because the winner of the Masters gets to make the dinner, choose the dinner the night before. But it's nice to see that he won the Masters this week. It was nice to see. I mean, it was a close game to the end of the Masters, and there was other people above him, but they had meltdowns and slid down the rankings, and Rory McIlroy kept it near the end there. But that's nice to see that Rory McIlroy did it. Like I said, he's only the fourth golfer to do it. That's quite incredible. He's only the fourth golfer to do it. I can't believe that he's only the fourth golfer out of all the golfers to do it. But Rory McIlroy won by a 12 under par, so that's pretty good too. But that's nice to see that he's only the fourth. Tiger Woods did it too a few years back. He was one of the ones who won it back-to-back. But that's nice to see that Rory McIlroy won back-to-back Masters. We'll see what else Rory McIlroy can do. Also, it looks like the Live Golf experiment is dead now. It seems like they're running out of Saudi Arabia money. But I thought the Live Golf thing was kind of a waste of anything anyway. If I was going to watch golf, I was just going to watch the PGA Tour. Even though I really only watch golf when there's big things like the Masters or something. But if I was going to watch golf, I was only going to really watch the Masters. But it looks like the Live Golf Tournament's over. So does that mean that the people that were on the Live Golf Tournament, does that mean they get to come back to the PGA? Or the PGA Tour have a strict rule against that? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see if they're going to crawl back to go to the PGA Tour or what they're going to do. Now that it looks like the Live Golf Tournament today from other sports outlets might be going extinct. But it'd be interesting to see what they do. I mean, I really never watched the Live Golf Tournament, but it'd be interesting to see what happens in the Live Golf Tournament to see if those golfers come back to the PGA Tour. I mean, I think some of them are coming back, but like some of these bigger names, would they come back or what would happen to them? But I don't know what's going to happen. Ooh. Later on this Saturday and Sunday, it's WrestleMania, night 1 and night 2. I'm caught up in wrestling this week, but on Saturday's video before night 1 of WrestleMania, we'll get more into the video later on and talk more about my picks and who I think is going to win and who I want to win to see which way the WWE goes. I can't believe that Pat McAfee's coming back. I know a lot of these baby WWE fans who like to complain a bitch a lot, or complain about Pat McAfee, but I really kind of want to see, spoiler, kind of want to see Randy Orton win now, even though I like Cody Rhodes. But that's the only thing I'm going to talk about that, because I just want to see what Pat McAfee's going to do for the business that will make wrestling better. I kind of want to see that, but that's a little teaser for the video coming up. The Boston Celtics figured out who their first opponent will be. It'll be the Philadelphia 76ers. So that's going to conflict with the Philadelphia Flyers and Penguins series, because the Flyers and Sixers share the same stadium. But the Flyers that they're going to have to schedule stuff around that to see who can use the stadium, since they use the same stadium. But I think the Celtics won that in 5 or 6 as well. I think the Celtics are looking like a good team this year. I'm glad to have Jason Tatum back. I couldn't believe that we got Jason Tatum back this season from a torn Achilles that he tore last year in the playoffs. But I think the Celtics are going to be good. Like I said, I think they beat the Sixers 6-5. I think Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have a good series for the Boston Celtics. I think the Celtics look good, and I think that they come out strong and come out firing, and I think they win in 5 or 6. But like I said, it's going to be interesting because both of the Philadelphia Flyers and Sixers are in the playoffs this year, and they both share the same arena. So it's going to be conflict schedules. And also, we have the NFL draft coming in next week, too. So you're going to not want to have games in Pittsburgh probably during the draft because of all that traffic that's going to be going. I mean, I know I'm going to the draft on Friday night, like I said earlier, but I'm taking a train in, so we don't have to worry about all that traffic going in and trying to find parking. Because my barber friend Jake, my buddy Jake Delaney, sent me a video today about TikTok, which I watched earlier this morning, about how much parking costs. I mean, some of these places are really expensive to park a car, so that's why we're taking a train, and the train takes you right up to the stadium and right up to where all the action of the draft is. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting. They said they expect a lot of people in for this NFL draft next week. It's going to be interesting to see how many people are actually in for the NFL draft and see how crowded it is. But it's going to be interesting to see what the series are. The first game we know is Saturday at 8 o'clock for the Penguins. But the Boston Celtics are playing the Sixers too, so we'll see what that happens. Like I said, I think the Celtics come back and win. I think Jason Tatum has a good game. Maybe Hauser has a good game too, or Peyton Pritchard has a good game for the Celtics. It's going to be interesting to see what Derek White can do. Derek White's pretty good in the playoffs too. Don't count the Celtics out. They're looking really strong. I mean, I know the Pistons are, I think, the best team still in the East, but the Celtics are not looking bad either. I'm surprised how good the Celtics are doing this year. Some people thought also that the Celtics might be on a down year because we didn't have our superstar in Jason Tatum, but Jaylen Brown and company has really helped the Celtics. But tomorrow we'll talk more about the Pirates and more about baseball, about the upcoming game. And we'll talk more about other sports happening in the sports world and other stuff. One of my buddies asked me about WNBA draft. I don't really watch the WNBA draft, so I really don't know how to comment on that. But how to comment on WNBA draft. So I only watch the WNBA. I watch the NBA and college basketball and college sports. But I guess it was a good draft. I don't know. But like I said, tomorrow we'll talk more about other sports. And on Saturday, we'll have our WrestleMania pick. I can't believe our WrestleMania is here already. But Saturday's video will be all my WrestleMania picks. And I'll talk more about why I want Randy Orton to win. So I actually spoiled that for you. And why I want to see what Pat McAfee can do for the business. I mean, I'm more excited about this. I know a lot of people flip the bricks because they want to go their way and think they can write the show better than Triple H. But I'm excited to see what happens right now with the way WWE's going. But I'll get to more than that in Saturday's video. Because then if I keep talking about it, they're not going to watch Saturday's video. But even though the Pirates lost today, I'm glad they're having a good season, 11-8. It's still a young season, only like 19 games in or whatever, but I'm glad the Penguins are looking a lot better. I'm glad the Pirates are looking a lot better, excuse me. I'm also glad the Penguins are in the playoffs. It's been so long since 2022 that the Penguins have been in the playoffs. I hope they have a good playoff run. I hope they finally win a playoff series. So the last time they blew it in the playoffs, I think, in the first round. So let's see if they can win it. But like I said, I think they win a 6 or 5. We'll see. It's going to be interesting what happens. And tomorrow night, the Pirates debut their City Connect uniforms. I think they look pretty good. I think they look a little better than last year's City Connect uniforms, which is a new uniform just to make more money. They say Pirates on them in black. I like the yellow hat with the Bucco's head on it. The Bucco logo with gold on it. I like that hat. So it's a nice hat, but we'll see what the Pirates do. They play Tampa Bay Rays, like I said, tomorrow, and Tampa Bay Rays, or the Devil Rays, are coming on a hot streak. But I'll talk more about that tomorrow and more about other sports. Thank you for watching another episode of Stache Sports. If you want me to talk about anything else, please leave it in the comments and leave it down below, and I'll talk more about other sports. And like I said, on Saturday, we'll talk more about WWE and WWE's pay-per-view event that's going to be on ESPN Unlimited this year for the first time ever. That's probably another reason why Pat McAfee's helping, but I need to stop talking about that, or I'm going to blow all of Saturday's episode. LOL. But we'll see. I think that I'm glad the Pirates are doing good and the Penguins are doing good. It's good to have good sports teams up here when the draft's coming up here. I can't believe that the draft's going to be in a couple of weeks. We'll talk all next week about who the Steelers are going to draft, or if I think they'll move up since they have a lot of draft picks. But that'll be in next week's videos because the draft's only 1 week away now. The draft's less than 1 week away now. Or 1 week away, I guess, because it'll be next Thursday night, around 1 at 8 o'clock. But we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see who gets drafted and if it's going to be any big trades. But we'll talk more about the draft next week, like I said in the video. But thank you for watching Stache Sports. We'll have another episode later on this week. But I had family and it was nice to have a visit of my aunt. But thank you for watching Stache Sports. And if you have any comments, please leave them down below.